Hello and welcome everyone to today's webinar on new capabilities of facial intelligence now available on Oracle Cloud. Thank you for joining us. My name is Tara Van Cleave and I am a marketing event manager for the developer initiative here at Oracle. And today we're excited to show you how Corsight uses AI-powered technology to enable organizations to identify and respond to security threats in real time by analyzing live video feeds. We'll also be recording the session and we'll provide the replay via the same email that you registered with. If you have any questions during the webinar, please drop them in the Zoom chat and Q&A areas and we'll be ready to help answer them. We've also set up a channel in our developer public Slack called Webinar Corsight AI that you can access at the QR code or at bit.ly/odevrel_Slack. And we'll leave that channel open after the event to contact us directly with any questions and to share resources and upcoming events with you. So today's webinar will be presented by Robert Watts, President at Corsight AI, Ofer Ronen, EVP of Business Development at Corsight AI, Matan Noga, VP of Research and Development at Corsight AI, Adam Ashby-Clark, Global Operations Director at Corsight AI, and Robert Ronen, Strategic Partnerships at Oracle. So without further ado, I will pass it off first to Robert Watts.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. I'm Rob Watts. I'm President at Corsight. We produce facial recognition technology. You will all be aware of facial recognition. You will have all, no doubt, put your passport on the slab, stood there, taken your hat off, taken your glasses off, made sure the lighting's right, had your face dead square onto the camera, and sometimes it gets you, sometimes it doesn't. What we do at Corsight is somewhat different. And what we do at Corsight hopefully will bring you, your organization, if you're an Oracle partner, your clients value as well. What we want to do today is, I suppose, break down the barriers of what we're talking about with facial recognition. Demystify it a little. Although, having said that, when I'm talking to our tech guys, our VP of R&D and Adam as our Global Operations Director, it is what I would probably call a bit of a black art. But without moving on from that, let me tell you where we're different. Firstly, I was privileged to be invited to speak at Oracle World last year. I also had the privilege of listening to Larry talk about autonomous AI and what Oracle were doing with autonomous AI. Corsight has developed our application set using autonomous AI. We've been doing so since 2019, 2020. And this is how we're able to do this. Picture paints 1,000 words, as I always say to people. And when I first got involved with Corsight, being able to look at somebody's image and recognize that person at 90-degree head turn, in this case, in a crowded scenario with a face mask on, impossible to do. You can't do that. We at Corsight can. Here, another guy, partially obscured face mask on. We can still pick out who it is. Down the bottom of the screen, you can probably see it's kind of shaded out because of an overhead gantry. We're still picking up that person. So look, we want to talk to you about making a difference for you, your clients, your organization, and how we can move forward. There are a number of things I want you to take away from today. Firstly, one side of a coin, speed and accuracy. Other side of a coin, privacy and ethics. We will talk about all of these things. It doesn't matter the cameras that you're using. What we require is 50 pixels between the ears to give you facial recognition. The guys will talk more eloquently about the technical aspects of it. I merely sit on the business side and obviously look at trying to drive the sales and drive the organization forward in that regard. Moving on from that, you can see these are real images taken from our software. You can see some of the core capabilities that we can bring to the market. What we're going to do in this session today is show you three aspects of what we do. Real-time facial recognition, lots of people moving in a crowd, how to pick out faces, of known individuals. They could be self-enrolled individuals. They could be fast-track individuals getting into a stadium or getting into an office environment, or in this case, actually getting into a port with a heavy goods vehicle. I'll explain that in a moment. Or they could be, terror suspects if you're law enforcement, criminals, whatever they might be. All of that said, we can pick out people in one lumen of light. We can pick out people in infrared, non-discriminatory in terms of ethnicities. In fact, NIST ranked Corsight #1 globally in terms of reducing racial bias in facial recognition software. We're being used by pharmaceutical organizations to enable them to gain entry into their clean rooms and protect their IP that they're developing in their clean rooms. I mentioned I'd come back to this a little earlier. What we're doing here is granting access to heavy goods vehicles going into ports and reducing traffic, reducing number of ships, reducing number of containers in ports, because the drivers are able to fast track into the port because they've uploaded their details earlier and sooner. The use cases, look, many, many, many use cases. We're used globally now for banking environments, workplace environments. We can even do liveness detection, and maybe we'll show you some of that as we go through in terms of access through gates and so on. Smart city, safe city, sporting environments, gaming, casinos, protecting the public from harm, protecting your environment, and managing the processes of what you do using facial recognition. As an example, facial match engine, we're being used to identify employees from CVs and match whether they've come forward before, whether they've been employed before and excluded before. For concessions in sporting arenas, that's kind of important. So those are some of the things that we can do with our technology. But we'll talk you through how you can take what we do and embed what we do in what you do to make value, to give you an ROI. I'm going to pass over here because we're talking technical inference now as to how we work with real-time technology using the OCI platform. Adam, do you want to pick up with this, please?
Yeah,
Adam,
sure.
you're
Thanks,
on mute.
Rob. Sure. Thanks, Rob. So hi, everybody. So what we're seeing here is just a simple architecture drawn out just to give everyone an idea of how this works. Essentially, for real-time use, you have your cameras located on your site. They may be connected via a VMS system, or they may be connected directly to your network. And they then are streaming that video footage into the Oracle Cloud, which is processed by our software. And then you have the management clients connected to that to present that data to you. Now, if Rob can just take over to the next slide, please. Thank you. So what we've got here is a short video just to kind of give an idea of how this can actually work. And this is a retail scenario. So here you have a person of interest and he's spotted actually stealing something from this vendor. What you can do very quickly from within our software is take the image of that person and add them into a watch list of individuals that you want to try and identify. It doesn't have to be a very good quality image. You can see the quality of the image there that's being used. It's just a real wild image. It's not a passport grade image. And now he's in the system. You'll notice from another camera here within the shopping mall, he's being identified. And you can see here how he's actually being identified. He's very far away from the camera. He's not looking at the camera. In this clip here, he's wearing dark sunglasses covering half of his face. This here, the camera is extremely high from an extreme angle, and the face is very small. He's not looking at the camera, of course, and it's still able to pick him up, even using that original image that we enrolled into the system. And here he is again, appearing within a shop and actually shoplifting again. And every time one of these identifications is occurring, we're able to send an alert to wherever that needs to be, either from the management client or to a mobile client, to raise the alarm to whoever needs to be identified, to let them know this person's been identified and where they've been identified. And just at the end of this clip here, you'll see this is, we send the notification to the security guard and the person is apprehended and removed from the situation. Okay, thanks, Rob. Next slide.
Just to update on that, that was actually our VP of product. He wasn't really stealing anything, and it was a scenario that we built for the for this this solution set. Sorry, just moving on.
Fine.
So we talked, if I may, Adam, we talked
Sure.
about real time. We're now going to look at post-event, and then we'll move on to image matching in terms of how all of those aspects work within the OCI platform. Adam, please.
That's fine. Thanks, Rob. So the second scenario here is offline video processing. So this is any video footage off that is taken that's not from a real-time camera, whether that be a cell phone footage or body-worn video or any other cameras that you weren't monitoring live. You can take that. Those videos can optionally be stored within the Oracle cloud as well, and then they are processed through our system automatically. And again, you have those same management clients that you can use to present that data to you. So here we have a video footage of somebody walking down the street, and we are trying to identify that person later on. So we're just going to take the crop of that person. You'll see that person. We're going to take that image again, put that person into a watch list of known individuals, and that video was coming from just a standard video clip. And then what we're going to do is, so that was taken from a camera, and then what we're going to do is switch into what we call the investigate mode, and we're going to take a video, any other file, wherever you want to take that from, and you can analyze that, and this can process through this in extremely faster than real time, because it's not a video, it's not playing live. And you can see that this is processing through, finding all of the faces, and it can pick out those faces again, even in really extremely challenging scenarios. We're able to pick up that person, identify them very quickly and very easily. On top of that, we're also categorizing some other information, the amount of times that person is seen across the video or across multiple videos. It's easy and quick to pick up that person straight away from all those footage.
And then in terms of image matching.
Yeah, so it's very similar to the offline video in terms of having just standard images stored within the Oracle Cloud or from your own data storage, processed into our system that's stored within OCI. Typically, this is done via an integration with our API where you want to perform image matching, but you can also do that within our client as well. So if you click over to the next slide, Rob, we can show that working.
Yeah, I think prior to doing that, it's probably worthwhile here, not that I want to be disrespectful to any of Oracle's competition, but we know that, you know, Oracle's competition in terms of Amazon and Azure and so on have this functionality. What they don't have is the ability to do things at 90-degree angle, to do a match in that, you know, with the hard end of hard, shall we say. What they don't have is that speed. In Singapore, as an example, our software was tested by the Singapore government and was processing, what was it, Adam, 20 million images in under a second, I think.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
So
image matching itself takes, you can do this in a kind of couple of different ways. The first is taking an image and actually searching this against your previously detected faces from cameras or from those video files that you've processed. And here you can see very quickly, you can take an image even if that person is disguised. Rob, if you can just pause that a second, please.
Sorry.
That's fine. If you can just step that video back just very quickly. Thank you, that's fine. Just leave it there. So here what we've done is we've taken this image and we perform a search against the history, and you're able to pick up all of the different identifications of that person that have happened in the past. And then you can also do what's known as a proximity search and understand what other people that person has been seen with. So thanks, Rob, if you can just click play. Thank you. So this is performing that proximity search, and it's actually identifying other people that person was seen with. The second part of the image matching is actually searching against your database, your watch list of known individuals. Now, this can stretch, as Rob said, into the tens of millions of people, and the system can process that extremely quickly and extremely powerfully. And even if they are not very good or very outdated images or poor quality images, Here, we're actually taking a really outdated image and performing that against the system, performing a search against the system. You see within a very split second, we're able to get that result. And this is actually about a 30-year-old image of me. And this can pick me up against the database of millions of people very quickly and very, very accurately. Thanks, Rob.
Thank you.
Matan.
Matan, are you on the call? Hello, Matan.
I'm on the call.
Matan's
Yes, I'm
our
also
VP of R&D, so he's the clever guy here. And maybe you can pick up what we're talking about.
I'm also the criminal from the investigate example, by the way, in case you didn't notice. Yeah, thank you, Rob. Thank you, Adam. Just grabbing the mic for a few moments, jump in here. First of all, I want to share that what you've seen so far is the outcome of very hard research and work that we're very proud of, and super excited to share with you all today. I want to extend briefly on the image matching example that Adam just showed. I guess most of you are wondering, and as a fellow engineer, I want to show you what it takes code-wise to do what Adam presented, which is image matching. When you begin your integration, all it takes is just a few lines of code in Python using OpenCV and our Python SDK. At the top, we can see that we import the packages, we initialize them, we read the image that we want to analyze to OpenCV format, and we send that image to our detect faces endpoint. We get the detected faces back, either as bounding boxes or as crops, and then we can match each of them to the person of interest database or specific watch list. Sorry. In the response, we'll find the persons of interest that the image matched to, and of course, the confidence level of each match. From there, you can show these matches in your user interface. You can unlock a gate to let an employee in to the office. You can cluster photos into albums and much, much more, whatever your heart desires. And of course, just such SDK clients are available for all services and all endpoints. So that goes for live cameras, offline cameras, videos, history database, user management, and so on. Thank you, and happy coding.
Thank you, Matan. The other side of what we talked about was, I suppose, the reverse of that speed and accuracy on the coin, and we spoke about privacy and ethics. Look, big boulder in the road, privacy and ethics, certainly in the US, certainly across Europe, where the European AI Act is being brought into play, and also in the UK and other countries. Everybody is concerned about privacy within the use of facial recognition. You can see here, what we're doing is only identifying the people that we need to identify. They could be self-enrolled people, or they could be people that have lost the right to have enrollment, i.e. criminals or people that have become a person of interest because of their behavior or whatever else. Everyone else within the footage is blurred out. They're redacted from the video. GDPR Article 25 has not even been released yet. It's due to be released this quarter or later on this quarter. But because our Chief Privacy Officer, who was the former guy called Tony Porter, who was the former UK CCTV and Surveillance Commissioner, he wrote the law in the UK as to how to use facial recognition. He is now our Chief Privacy Officer. He works with the Government Audit Office in the US. He works with the UK authorities and the Home Office. He works with the EU Steering Committee around AI and the use of biometrics within that. So he's well versed in what we do. He's brought our software up to a level where no one else can touch us in terms of that. Data impact assessments, we work very closely with all of our customers, our partners, clients, in terms of the use of what they're doing, how they're doing it, and what they're doing. We're equally, and Matan may want to pick up on this a little later, we're equally transferring images into digital signatures so that data cannot be used, cannot be replicated in any other systems. We believe we're the most advanced in terms of privacy and accuracy in the market. We know we're the most advanced in terms of ethics and bias within the market. But I just wanted to give you that element of confidence And clearly we can go into detail with you individually after this call, should you wish, about how we move things forward within that regard. What it says now is demo. So what I want to do is show you the software live. I think, everything falls down on whether or not we're working live or so on. What I'd like to do is introduce one of our senior technical engineers, Dan Archer, to you, who's going to take you through the software and take you through how we work in live mode.
Hello, nice to meet you all. My name is Dan. We'll go through a quick demo of the product. We covered a few things in the videos you saw, so I won't try and repeat them too much. But basically here, what you see is our live system is this is a server that I'm looking after right now with approximately capability of 1 million people, and I have about 100,000 people on this particular system in the watch list itself. With this in mind, we can easily expand, especially using Oracle's systems. Up to, as we said, with the image matching, up to 20 million people, even more. Right here, what we have is just several different watch lists in the system. You can have as many as you wish. You can group them as priorities as you want to use the system. What I'll just do, we'll go over a couple of little items. So, for example, just to add someone into the watch list, what we can do is we can quickly generate a user ID or even type in a specific name if you want to add someone into the watch list. I'll pick a picture. This is a picture from me from about 10 years ago. It will detect the face in the image. And then when we add into the system, it will either basically add the person into the system if they're not recognized already, or it'll give you a notification back to say that, okay, this person already exists within the system. And then from that point, you can decide whether to add an additional image to this person or just ignore it and use the more current image that you have of the person. What we do with this particular with our particular system is we don't necessarily need to have many images of the same person in the system. We can just have one good front clean profile image of a person, and that's all we need. We don't need to have a picture on the side, a picture on the top, on the bottom, all different angles. Just one clean front image, and then we can start using the we'll start getting good recognitions from the system. Okay, and once we're actually in the system itself, you can do historic searches, as you saw from the video, very quickly. We can just do a search from the person, and you can see all the detections and recognitions of the person very quickly. And obviously, as soon as something live comes through the system, you will get the notification as well. What we'll do is we'll very quickly add a camera. Very simple process of clicking add camera. And we can just type a name of the camera. We can select RTSP, USB, or file. We'll just stick with RTSP. I'll pick my demo camera here. And we can select all of the watch lists that we want to be associated with this particular camera. The bottom section here, we obviously had a lot more advanced settings that we can change, but very quickly we can just add a camera into the system and start working. Right now we have the threshold, and this is a sensitivity value that we basically determine anything above this value will generate an alert. So we can play with the setting if it's a high priority or low priority or the camera. And I'll show you this. On the system right now, I've enabled some calibration properties. So once we've added a camera, we can basically select the camera, and this is me, hello. And when we enable the calibration properties, you can basically see that we have an additional information at the top here. The name is in red because I've been recognized because I'm part of the watch list. We have some analytic metrics here, which we'll show you in a little bit more detail. Male 30 to 39, gives an approximate age estimation. And then we have some very quick option at the top here to allow you to calibrate the camera very quickly. So Rob mentioned that we're only looking for 50 pixel width face size. So as soon as you add the camera, we don't need to focus in any specific area. We don't need to do any kind of special configuration. We just add an RTSP video stream from the camera, and you can see from the right-hand side, this is the face resolution. And very, very, very quickly, we can see if this camera is in a good position, or we might need to tweak the angle or the position of it. Okay, just to move on, have a, let's say, scenario set up here. What we can do is when we analyze the camera, it starts to stream, and you'll see that we start getting detections. In fact, what I will do, just to stop the visual spam, is to turn off this configuration setting. And then we'll start the live stream. Okay. So what we have here is the camera just processing the live stream. I have a watch list of a few people in here. And right now, what you can see is on the left here is everyone being recognized. If I just shrink this a little bit, just to let it process at the top, you can see these are all the faces that are coming into the system. And we have some metrics here, basically the appearances and the POI matches. So as we get more people recognized, obviously the counter will increase. If we switch over to the analytics, we can pick up information. So we have essentially age and gender enabled on this particular stream. And we can see that we have, if we scroll down, we can see here that we have categories of age ranges. So for example, we have, predominantly 20 to 29-year-olds, and we have a nice little pie chart here at the very, very bottom. You can see here that the gender ratio for this particular video, the American football team, so predominantly male as they're walking towards. And then you can see the average range of ages at the very bottom, showing, nearly 60% for 20 to 29-year-olds. So these are some of the additional metrics that we can take from the system, and you can use in reporting. You can export it from the system via the API or via CSV export, and it will allow you to get more information on this. Another part Rob mentioned was with regards to privacy. I'll just switch to this. The same video, just with a different setting enabled. And what we can see here is we have privacy mode enabled. And what it will do, I'll expand so you can see, it will blur the faces of people who aren't recognized. So people who aren't part of the watch list, part of the people you are looking for. And you can see this also underneath. So right now, we'll only see the image of the person recognized. Everyone else who is passing the camera is just disregarded. There's no image stored for this particular person. And this allows us to comply with many GDPR regulations and so on. And there's various settings we can enable within this, depending on the configuration that you want. Okay. And just to not to go into too much detail for the demo, the last little thing we can look at is we have configurable user roles, so we can limit and restrict everyone down to how they want to use the system. You have maybe managers and operators, you want them not to see certain alerts, then you can filter out this as well. What I will show you is from system, we have a full audit report. So what I can do is create a specific audit report for my user, Dan. We'll generate a report from the system, and from here, we go into the reports and open this up. Basically, this will give you an export into an Excel spreadsheet to show you all of the audits. So if something specific happened, you can quickly just generate the report, pull it via the API as well if you wish, and then you can go on to use the system. Okay, I'll hand back for now, and thank you very much.
Perfect. Thank you for the demo, Daniel. So let's talk a little bit about integration. Basically, everything you just saw in the demo is accessible and managed via Corsight's API. What you've seen is the UI that we've developed, and it just communicates with our API. And you've seen the SDK example before. You can really dig into different options of the API using the Swagger documentation, jumping to every endpoint, every service, and see how to communicate with it, generate your own code examples in the language of your choice, whether it's image to image or running videos, if you're running live cameras or files. investigate mode. All of these different modes are controllable, through the API, and you can control that. It also has built-in security, of course. User management, as Daniel just showed you. You can see the auditing of your users. You can assign different roles to your users and what they can or cannot see, which is crucial in some systems. Define your data retention. For how long are you saving images? Are you saving them at all? And of course, the different privacy profiles, which you can enforce on different cameras, watch lists, and so on. So really controls the visibility and data in the system.
So guys, we're building our software out. We're continually developing our software. We're moving it forward in ways that no one else is doing so. We've shown you how different Corsight is in terms of what we do with our software. 90-degree head turn where everyone else fails at 30 degrees. 70-degree rake on camera where everybody fails at about 25 degrees. We're completely different. What we're doing now, and we expect to release this quarter, is a new module called Insights. What that module will bring is the ability to do different things with the software, use the system as an intelligence tool to understand how things work, how people work, movement of people, and so on. Has person A been seen with person B? Has person A been seen in a particular situation for any length of time? Are they loitering? Are they staking out the place, as an example? How are they acting? How are they interacting? As an example, we're being asked within the construction industry to determine whether people have the requisite skill set to be in a specific area. So it's geo-fencing a particular area and building integration in and around that so that, you know, as an example, if there's blast work taking place, they shouldn't be there, thereby enabling the organization to reduce their insurance thresholds. We can build repeat appearances. We can build those patterns of life and how people work, whether someone in a law enforcement arena is being tailed, as an example. Again, you can pick all of that up. But your organization, who you work with, what you do, you'll have your own ideas about what insights you're looking for. We want to hear what those are, and we want to give you the ability to develop those insights and really build out those superpowers for yourself. So we'd love to hear from you. We'd love to move that conversation forward and understand what you're doing with the systems. For that, and for now, I'd like to say thank you. I'll probably hand over now to Robert Ronan, who's going to close the event and also talk to you about, I suppose, some of the takeaway that we want you to have from here, how you can work with Corsight, how you can work with Oracle, and some goodies, hopefully, that will be of value to you. Robert, with you, please.
Thanks, Rob. So to close out today's session, we've got some questions that came in, and I'd like to just sort of put these out to the Corsight team to see if we can get some answers for those that attended. So the first question that came in is, how can I integrate with Corsight? And I'll pass it off to you guys.
Yeah, sure. I'll take that one. I believe we've answered it in one of the slides. First of all, we have our SDK, which you can use to communicate with our API. It's in Python. We have Swagger documentation, which you can use to dig into the API and see the different endpoints and services. Some code examples. So really, there are many ways that you can do that. But the main way to do that really is using our API, which is all the functionality is there.
And we got a follow up to that. The question is, where can we get where can we find the SDK?
Okay, the SDK is not currently publicly available. It will be available at Oracle site to download very soon.
Excellent. Another question that came in through the chat is, what databases are available for HistoryDB?
Okay, I'll take that one too. So Corsight does not hold any data for users to use. The user itself is a data controller for where the data is hosted. So we do not actually share databases or keep that kind of information at Corsight. It's really up to the user or the customer, the partner. Or if you're talking about the types of databases, then we have the POI database, which is where you upload your persons of interest. And the history database is where we automatically store appearances. Appearances are persons moving into the field of view, of the camera, which you can later search and even create POIs from those appearances. And I hope that answers the question.
Is it, Matt, and it may be more related to, is it the Oracle DB? Is it Microsoft SQL? What's the core database within the system we're using?
The type of database that we use, like the actual backbone. We use MongoDB, and we are actually looking into vector databases as well. It's a pretty hot topic right now. This is more for the speed and enhanced search capabilities. So yeah, that's what we use.
Perfect. We've got a ton of questions here, so we're gonna keep you on just for another minute here.
Sure.
Is there a playground or some sort of test environment that's available? So I'll answer the first part. So if you want to test Corsight on Oracle, you have the option of getting Corsight from the Oracle Cloud Marketplace. And then you can also use $500 in cloud credits as a trial to use it on Oracle Cloud. And I'll let you take the Corsight portion of that.
So maybe I'll
yeah.
take that.
Sure.
So from a commercial standpoint, for the first, certainly in terms of this webinar, for the first 100 folk that sign up, sign in, do whatever, we'll grant a 6-month developer license for that organization to start developing their API, to start developing the integration into your own application set, and also give webinar scenarios and so on in terms of training as well.
Awesome. Next question. Is there a model that needs to be trained? I think it's a valid question.
Great question. No, the answer is no. You do not need to train the model. Corsight has done that for you. Whether it's face detection or it's the networks that creates the signatures for the faces, we have done that. It's a long and tedious process, and we're very proud of the model that we have. So the answer is no, you do not need to train your own model.
Next question. This one came in early within the conversation, and I was hoping you all would answer it as we went through, through some of the demos. But perhaps you can talk about the difference between facial identification versus detection.
Sorry, Robert, we did debate this on chat as to whether to answer it in the flow or to wait to the end to take questions. But Matt, maybe you can take it now.
Sure. Face detection is the process of just detecting faces. Basically, it's saying what, not who. Face detection basically just says this is a face, this is a face, this is a face. It doesn't say this is Matan, this is Rob. Okay. The identification process is what takes the output to face detection and creates a signature out of that crop and matches it to a database. And that match is actually the identification. That's how the system is able to say, okay, this face that I detected, this signature actually matches to another signature in the database, which is Matan. And here's the score of the match.
There's also a point I think I would raise about face detection, in that, as an example, we showed you an image earlier from our system of faces obscured, faces turned sideways, faces with masks, and so on. We at Corsight are still detecting faces in those scenarios. There are many other face detection products that, shall we say, are there for the commercial world, which is, as I said, face head on. You know, there's a face, yes, I recognize it. But as soon as I turn my face, it won't recognize it. What you have with Corsight is, in effect, military-grade tech that is now available in the commercial world. So that face detect to face match, the whole scenario, speed, accuracy, come back to that all the time, speed and accuracy. That's what we're bringing to the market. That's why we're different. Hopefully that answers the question. Matan, I
Yeah,
don't
that
know
was
if
great.
you want to add anything to that.
The only thing I would say, if possible, maybe you can sort of step through some of those use cases where you would use, face identification. So I know we spoke, offline in the past, and some of those use cases came up into like clean rooms and port of entry and things like that. And I thought those were very interesting. So perhaps we can touch upon that.
In all of those cases, that it's not just face identification, it's facial matching as well. So it's real-time matching in that scenario to grant access. Let's take the clean room in the pharmaceutical environment, which was a very interesting one in that it was one that was put to us by a global pharmaceutical organization. In fact, there are now a number of these global pharmaceutical organizations that have said, right, can you use faces of people in effectively spacesuits? Because they're developing pharmaceutical product in an environment, and they only want to grant access to those clean rooms to people who've got the right authentication, the right accreditation to go into those rooms, really on the basis of their developing IP that costs millions, if not trillions of dollars to develop. So they don't want, shall we say, unscrupulous people gaining access to those areas, but they can't recognize the person. So they threw that at us, and we were able to detect not only a face, but also the right person and do facial recognition in a mask, in a shield, in a spacesuit. So fascinating use case. In terms of the ports scenario, we have a client, it's a military ports, where they're granting access to vehicles, but it was taking them 20 minutes to 30 minutes to process a vehicle through, really because these are buildings of critical national infrastructure. And what it was leading to was a pile up of vehicles on the freeway, big heavy goods vehicles on the freeway, loads and loads of containers in the ports, ships anchored out at sea because they couldn't gain entry to the ports. So what they did was they enabled the drivers of these heavy goods vehicles to upload their data before they got to the port. Now what they're doing is fast tracking those vehicles through in that they've got cameras probably half a mile away from the port that's recognizing the driver, doing the match on the data set and fast tracking them through. It's now taking them 1 to 2 minutes to process that vehicle into the port because all of the requisite documentation has already been pre-populated. So fantastic value that we're bringing. In fact, in that case, we're actually increasing the GDP of the nation. So it's a great value set. Robert, please.
Yeah, amazing story. So this is from Matan. How long are facial details stored? Is it manually controllable? It's a it's a 4-part question, so bear with me. Can the facial database be shared? And then, for example, to a subsidiary or another client?
So first part is for how long the data is stored, right?
Correct.
Yes. So that's where data retention kicks in. The default is, depending on the database, between 30 to 90 days. But you can set it to 5 minutes, a year, or infinite. It's really up to you and up to your use case and how long you want to save the information.
Let me maybe pick up on that. It's also dependent upon the law in either your state, in your country, in the way that you work with things. The law in the UK is pretty specific about how long you can retain data and why you're retaining data. As an example, if you detect a face and that face is not known to you from a UK perspective, you've got to delete that within under a second.
Yeah.
So that's what we do. It's all configurable depending upon the law in state, the law in county, the law in country.
Yeah, precisely. The second question was, can the database be shared? correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So basically, multiple clients can connect to the same database or the same backend. That is really dependent on the deployment, the law, as Rob mentioned, and the specific case here. It is possible technologically with our system, but yeah, really depending on deployment and law.
I think a practical case there is one to discuss. It's because we've come across this many times. In that, let me give you the ports example. So there are a number of ports in the config that we've talked about. Their data is shared across multiple sites because there's multiple points of entry. So that's shared to the center. Also, you will see maybe in shopping malls or wherever that, again, depending upon the law within the country, within the state, within the county, you might be able to share that data across the retailers that are in your shopping mall. But you might not. So again, it's dependent upon how you can work and what you can do with the system and how viable it is to be able to do that. The point being is you can if you're allowed. But it's all based upon the use case and the data impact assessment documentation that we put together with you.
Absolutely. Was there a third part, Robert?
And I think you covered it. Can it be shared across like with other clients or partners or things along those lines? And it sounds like that's definitely a possibility.
Yes.
This next question is one that I've heard get asked over and over. I love this question because you have the best answers for it. So are there any limitations like glasses, a mask, or any sort of like distance that would be, that can inhibit like a facial match? I've seen some of the demos. They're pretty incredible. Perhaps you can sort of just jump into that.
Look, very simply, and I don't know whether Dan wants to come back on the screen with his demo and show a half-covered face in a ski mask, but I think it might be worthwhile doing that. But very simply, we need 50 pixels between the ears to give facial recognition. We need probably 50% of the face to give facial recognition. It doesn't matter if someone's behind glass, wherever they are. Part of the question is at a distance. I can tell you very shortly we're going to be deployed by UK customer defense in terms of tracking the boats that are coming across the channel with illegal immigrants on it. It's nothing to do with distance. Distance is actually something to do with the camera. What I've seen them doing and the testing that we've been going through is that those cameras can pick up faces at 2 miles out to sea. So it's kind of quite funky. But what it's actually giving, even though it's 2 miles out to sea, is still 50 pixels between the ears. So as Dan said, as part of the setup and the config, it's all based upon the camera that you've got.
So that sort of, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to extend that a little bit more from the distance point is great. But I think you're also asking about parts of the face that are covered. And I think that like there's this common knowledge that in face recognition, if the eyes are not visible, then you will never get a match because distance is, that's how face recognition works, by measuring distance between the eyes. So that is not the way that we do it. I would say that the best way to describe it, how a network works, is it's like the human brain does, except it's an expert. It really knows the person. So even if this part of the face is visible, just the lower part, you can still get recognition. Even if it's just the side even and a portion of the eye, you could still get recognition. And we do. And the interesting thing is that you will be amazed of how many, in the real world, that's usually what you get. It's very hard to get this clear beautiful frontal picture of people. So that's why it's crucial, actually, Robert.
Look, I've seen also, Robert, I'm jumping ahead of you. There was a point in the chat about hospitals using the system. I can't go into a great deal of detail about it, but our software has been used by a number of the hospitals in Israel. When the terror attacks happened, they had to very quickly identify injured and also deceased people. Some with partial faces, shall we say. Our software was used to do that. Our software was used in real time to be able to do that and help the families identify the victims, help the families join up and back together again. So look, it's what we can do. It's how we can do it. It's equally how, from a hospital perspective, we can identify the right patient to receive the right drugs and have the correct analysis with that patient as well. So really, really helpful and really useful analysis that we can do with our software. Coming back to a point that Matan made about, I think the way that our software works and the way that, we look at the face in the same way that the human sees the face. Every single other system on the market is what we call feature-based. It plots dots on the face. Hence why you've got to have the eyes, because it uses the eyes as a point of focus to get it. We don't. We use autonomous AI. That autonomous AI delivers a view in terms of what we've got within the face. So if you've got a cap covering the whole of the face or part of the face and only showing the lower part of the face, we'll still get you.
So to that point, is there special equipment that's needed from a camera standpoint?
None at all. None at all.
So you're basically saying off-the-shelf cameras can be used
to look, realistically, in real time, anything above 2 megapixel camera, good to go.
Okay.
We'll use mobile phone footage. We'll use footage from drones. The system's being deployed on drones as we speak, for law enforcement use cases and so on, to prevent threats, to prevent riot, those kind of things. It's being deployed on drones. So if you think about the rake on the cameras on a drone, really high up, we'll give you facial recognition using that. Clearly, we're not much good at top of head recognition, but if we can get it at 70 degrees, we'll give you facial recognition. So really hard end of hard is where Corsight brings value.
So we've got time for about one more question here, and I want to give Matan an opportunity to sort of talk about what that tech stack looks like, and why you chose Python as that primary code base.
Yeah, sure. I mean, for those in the crowd here that I've worked with computer vision before, Python is just amazing for that. There's a huge community, plenty of libraries, and it's just fast to use. And if you do it right, you can actually get pretty solid performance. So we actually use Python really as our main language. But we do have components running on C++ and also using CUDA, which is NVIDIA's language to communicate with GPUs to do ultra-fast matching, searching, and things like that. We also have adapted our models to TensorRT, so we're really running very quickly on NVIDIA GPUs. Other than that, MongoDB, just because it's very easy to use again and has amazing capabilities. Redis for caching. That's the kind of stack that we're looking at. And the next step, really, as I mentioned briefly before, is VectorsDB. And I think anyone who's dealing with embeddings these days and signatures really need to look at this technology. It's amazing. And we are looking forward to deploying that as well.
Robert, just picking up on one other question that is in the chat, which is, in fact, there's a couple there. How is Corsight deployed in Oracle Cloud? Is it offered as a managed service? We Corsight do not offer it as a managed service. We just develop the software. We do have partners, systems integrators, who who work with us within the Oracle Cloud that can offer a managed service. It's all about being a data controller and how that works and how you have to interact being a data controller in order to control that. So the answer to the question is yes, but through our partner network with Oracle. The other question, does Corsight API work with both on-site R12 and cloud? I'm not sure what R12 is. Sorry, Robert. Do you know?
Yes, it's a database revision. So I guess the question is will it work with the latest version of Oracle database?
We don't work with Oracle database.
There
is the answer to that question at the moment.
At the moment, yeah.
All right. Let's just any closing comments from anybody? That's Adam, Matan, Rob, Daniel.
I've really enjoyed presenting here. Sorry for the couple of glitches of me sharing screens that I shouldn't have shared. Apologies for that. But look, really enjoyed presenting, and really want to hear from you guys through Robert, through Tara. Any questions that you've got, please sign up, get the developer license. Let's move it on.
Perfect. Well, with that, we'll adjourn it. Thank you so much. I appreciate everybody's time. You folks were wonderful today.
Thank you so much, and we hope to see you at the next one.